John here.
Yo, it's Michael McGarahan.
Yo, it's Brandon Mascherino.
Yo, Cam Crawford here.
Yo, Mason Coburn.
Yo, Nick.
Yo.
Hey.
Oh,
What's up, boys?
West.
back again.
Third time.
Tommy,
So-
this is your third time?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Amazing.
man. So first was Memories of Murder, and then what was next?
And it
was-
No, second was Memories of Murder, right? No, first was Memories of Murder. The one with Mrs. Clay was
Yeah,
the
Mrs.
next
Clay.
one.
Oh yeah, that was
I forget what that one was.
That's crazy. We had teachers.
bro. That
Oh,
was
yeah.
my
That was
favorite
crazy.
Poland.
I should FaceTime Mrs. Clay.
Yeah.
Add her to the Zoom call.
We should
Yo,
have
how-
we should have teachers on Zoom now that we're all like graduated. Like
Yeah,
we
you
should definitely do
You
that.
really talk to them.
How many podcasts have we done on Zoom?
This will be the this is the 10th one that's that's a lie. This is the seventh virtual one, or I think seventh or eighth, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Or it might be 9 low key, because the first one we started off season 2 in my basement, and then from there I think it was all virtual. So
Wow.
yeah, there you go.
Well, this
Feels
is
like
episode
a
10
long
of season
time.
2, regardless.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
I was looking through them today, and I was like, holy crap! Like, I remember when it was 10 of season 1, so, and then now here we go, jump. That's
It
crazy.
feels like yesterday that we were lifting up Mr. Vernon's table, pulling the PVC pipes off
Yeah,
the
man.
bottom, and pulling the lav mics to the corner.
Yeah, and then him yelling at us the next day, saying we didn't put back one
Didn't
one
clean
can,
up.
yeah, crazy.
Good time.
Yeah, should we start off with some
Stories,
Ishika stories?
Stories.
Mhm.
All right, you go first, Mason.
Me, I don't have a story.
All right. I'll share mine then. All right. This is the time that Nate Rocco, kind of pre-fame Nate Rocco,
Oh shoot!
we went to the King of Prussia Mall, and then we made we made a sign. We went up in stores and made the sign that said ask me to rap. I don't know if it's gonna focus.
Hold it closer.
Yeah,
and then
hold it real close.
Yeah, ask me to rap. Every dime counts. So we were trying to make a bunch of money walking around King of Prussia Mall with Nate Rocco.
Wow.
So he would just walk around with the sign, and then people would be like, all right, go ahead. And then he would just freestyle off the dome for these strangers. This is the first one.
Man's geeking.
Wow.
He was sitting there. It was so funny watching them because they didn't know what they were in for. They kind of just said all right, go ahead. And they have to just sit there in silence and not say anything and just listen to this kid rap. All of them were kind of just awkwardly standing there. Then, these little kids, give them money. The little kids gave him money, dude.
Wow.
Oh my god.
That's $1 bill. That is
Every
paper.
dime counts.
Wow.
How much money did you guys make?
I feel like it was well over $20.
That's a lot. That's like a freaking that's like a Dairy Queen trip twice. That's for 4 people. That's great.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you for the.
I don't freaking know.
More
By,
of his audience. And then this is crazy. So we're going around and making a little bit of money. And then he goes, yo, look, that's Breezy. I don't know. I'm going to share my screen right now. But
Yeah, do it.
Breezy is this girl from Empire, the show about rap and hip hop. We saw her at King of Prussia Mall in the designer clothes section.
Wow.
So he goes up to her and he asks her if he can rap for her. Here, I'm gonna pull up a picture of her.
Yeah, please.
No way.
You can get familiar. All right.
Oh,
Whoa, do not leave the meeting. Hold on. You guys see?
yeah, for sure.
There?
Yeah.
Dang.
Breezy, dude.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So.
Oh, so she raps though.
Yeah, she's a rapper. So he
Wow.
goes up. I don't know why they record the whole thing, dude. I just recorded him going up to her, but then he starts going off, and then he gets her number to
Oh,
like call her and text her the next day, and she's like, "Yeah, we need music for like the show or whatever. We need like producers and everything." So
What?
I got her number because I was like making beats at the time. I wasn't like
Ooh.
crazy, but I got her number, and Nate the Rocco got this famous chick's number because he was going around rapping, and we thought we were gonna be like millionaires the next day, but
Wow.
Dang.
then she ghosted Nate a little bit after. Like he kept texting her.
Really?
But then after that, like, because he was just growing and growing, he went live with her on Instagram Live and had a ton of people going, and he was just like freestyling and shit.
No way.
Dude.
And then,
Jeez.
yeah, that was kind of it after. Then, like, a couple of weeks ago, he's like, "Yo, give me Breezy's number. I lost it." So, I don't know. Maybe he's going to be doing something with Breezy soon.
Dude, that's crazy. So you
Damn.
have her number right now. Like, in your
Yeah, I could call, like, a famous person. Like,
Yo,
block me immediately. He'd probably call the police.
you should call her right now.
I get her join the Zoom, so I give her the Zoom link.
But that would be just text the Zoom link. They just like I just see like Breezy like join the
Breezy's joining. That'd be funny.
that's
Awesome.
that's really wild, man. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Sick.
Wow.
Never
That's
did
so cool.
the stories.
I got a couple stories real quick. I got one real quick, kind of related to Nick's. Not related, but kind of like the same idea.
Mhm.
So this is my first semester of school, maybe even the first month or so, but it was fall and we were just chilling. I think it was a Thursday, and me and a bunch of my friends were done with classes for the day, just hanging out at night, and somehow a word gets around that Blake Griffin is in DC. I don't know if you know Blake Griffin. He's a basketball star for the Detroit Pistons, but we're like, no way, that's crazy. Turns out he's at this club we like to go to, Heist. So we're like, no way. Right down in DuPont
Bro, what kind
Circle.
of club are you going to?
No, just chilling, dancing.
Yeah.
And we're like, no way. Like, we gotta go meet Blake Griffin. So we go down to DuPont Circle by the club, and like, of course we're too late. We can't get in, but we're like, we just want to see Blake Griffin. Come on, let us in. No luck, but a bunch of American University girls went home in the same Uber with Blake Griffin. Apparently, this man's was on like he was in town for a wedding or something, but this man's was on some type of substance or chemical, and he was faded in Uber, and like a bunch of people got his number. Crazy story.
Damn.
Keep in mind, this dude's like 6'9", probably 250 pounds. So
Yeah, and he weighs a lot too, right? Like he's pretty fat. Like you see him on the TV show. Like
yeah, he's pretty husky.
Wow.
Like he's thrown down some of the craziest dunks. But my next story isn't as glamorous, but I think a few of the people here know this one pretty well. And it actually takes place right in Nick's neck of the woods per se.
bonsai crib, yeah, bonsai crib.
Like most good stories, it starts with bonsai. And
Oh.
here's what went down. It was spring, about this time last year, and we were all hanging out on the weekend, nothing to do, and someone was like, yo, let's go hot tubbing at Ben's. We're like, all right, perfect idea. Naturally, like always, the one thing keeping us from accomplishing this is Ben himself. He's like, no, I gotta look after John and Will tonight. Like,
They're like
my-
grown kids, dude.
I know. I'm like, bro.
Not in high school.
I don't know. He's crazy, but
Means his little brothers have to look after him.
Yeah, they have to
yeah.
for Ben. Change his diet.
So he's like, yeah, I have to look after them. My parents are going out tonight, and we're thinking, oh, you don't say. Interesting. So myself, Michael, Brendan, Charles, all meet up at Bradford Heights. And the issue with this is Ben has a type of sixth sense where he's always looking out at Bradford Heights, always knows what's going on up there somehow, just from his window or his back porch. It's really weird. So we got to be super careful with this. We run through the backyards, and make sure Lynn's car isn't in the driveway. Accidentally, we set off a motion detector sensor that turns a bunch of lights on.
I was scared.
Brendan skirts. The rest of us are holding our ground.
No,
And,
this is false. This is false. Cam, wait, you and I, or myself and some other person, went to the side of the house, remember? And 2 people stayed in the back to be on lookout. And we tripped the motion lights. And then I booked it back to where the 2 guys were chilling behind the fence. And then you ended up coming back after that.
Yeah, all right. My memory's a little hazy. Forgive me. But we're like, if this goes south, the worst we could be looking at is a misdemeanor, but it's probably fine. So we get inside the property, flip the tub cover open, and the 4 of us are just sitting in his hot tub. All of a sudden, Ben walks by in the kitchen, does a double take.
Glass doors.
I know.
That was so
Does a
funny.
double.
He's like carrying a bowl in his hands, and he's just like,
I wonder if I took a video of his reaction. I wonder if I could find it.
yeah, we all had our phones like pointed at him to get a video of us sneaking in his hot tub, and he was so like, he was so caught off guard. It was so funny.
And yeah, that was a good time to say the least.
Dude, when you're speaking of Bradford Heights, I've been looking for this picture for so long. I don't even know if I'm gonna fucking find it.
Yeah, Mason, if you don't know what Bradford Heights is, it's basically it's Michael and I's elementary school.
Exactly.
And Nick's. And
Yeah.
our friend Ben lives like right across the street from it, and that's where we'll like park in the parking lot up there to run across the street and try and sneak into his pool.
Okay, I see.
That's the
Yeah.
step. And it is pitch black outside. Nick lives right across from where Ben lives, so he lives right across the street from that elementary school too.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just
I'm
gave
trying
you
to. So the Mania kids, they would always go up to Bradford Heights and like bike. Like I guess that was their thing. So they put on their story for all the neighborhood kids, like come to Bradford Heights, and they like post pictures of them biking or whatever. And then one of these pictures they put on their story. I found it. So this is fucking crazy. So one of the pictures they put on their story, it says "Come to BH," right? Okay, seems like a normal picture. But if you look in the background, there is a dude standing there
What
in the background.
Holy crap.
Totally a candid picture. Like there's only like 3 kids up there. It was Will, John, and then the other neighbor, Nick Stretch, and they were all biking. And in the background, there's clearly a figure of someone standing. Like
just by himself.
Wow.
yeah.
Dude, what the frick? Send that photo in the chat right now. I need to see this.
Oh my gosh.
Who is that? Did you
They
ever
didn't
find
figure
out?
out who the heck it was?
They don't know. They had no idea. They didn't know until they
That's so
looked at the story after.
What?
And then the scariest part about that is that our principal, Dr. Solon, he had recently passed away at the time. So that's why it was kind of like, whoa, what the heck?
That was
Then if you look at some other kid's story, he said the same thing, like come to Bradford Heights. And they looked in the background, there's that same like figure of someone standing in the back.
Wow.
What the heck?
Yo!
Oh,
That's crazy. Yo, what
Whoa!
Oh,
Yeah.
what are you
what's up,
scary.
T?
Oh shit!
Bro, what the
TK, what are you doing?
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah, why do you smell like blueberries, TK?
You gonna be guarding that bed, TK?
No, I'm just kidding.
I hear you're guarding your bed more than you're guarding the nation.
Damn.
Oh,
He's in the National Guard.
yeah, just in the Air National
Put it
Guard.
out. Yeah, international.
Episode 2.
Oh,
The
such-
best episode.
Alright.
I have a small story, very quick. It's not too epic, but Nick's comments about street performing in King of Prussia reminded me of something. So last year in the NYU summer film program I was in, for my film, if you've seen it, it's Joe's Pizza movie. I had one of my buddies, I'm like, you have to play the street performer dude. He's like, oh, bet. So he's just going around doing like this and shit, and like he can't dance, but he was doing some crazy shit, and some random dude comes up and he's like, "I respect the grind," and drops him like $2, and I'm like,
Wow.
"Yo,
That's
hey,
That's good.
money like that in New York."
I respect the grind.
fine.
When we came to visit you, Moo, I remember it was so scary. Michael and I were like crossing the street. I think Croft was like in front of us, or maybe it was Croft and I. And I see just some man's like flipping out, flaring his arms,
Oh
and then
yeah.
he punches one of those like meters on the side of the street and
A parking
falls to
dude.
the ground and starts punching himself in the face.
That was so scary.
So weird.
Straight
I'm
up
like,
Fight
wow.
Club stuff right there,
I
man.
remember that.
Oh.
That's what happens when you smoke weed.
All right, fellas, remind me for next cast to talk about a nurse story and a Eagles Super Bowl parade story.
Ooh.
I'll say.
Will do.
Oh, I already know.
Yeah.
Moo.
Transport. There we go.
All right, we're gonna dive into Fight Club.
Oh, shall we hop in?
Yeah, sure. Do you want to do?
I mean, I'm not supposed to talk about it.
Oh,
Wait, what were we saying, McGarren?
I was gonna say, do we want to do any of Nick's music before Fight Club, or do we want to just go movie and then music?
yeah, whatever you guys want to do.
Nah, guess first. Guess first.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you
All
think?
right. Let's save Fight Club for last. All right. I'm gonna see if I can share my screen.
Cool.
Share. All right, we got Breezy.
Hey, nice.
All right.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
promise what I've recorded right now. It's got no bass or it's just literally straight guitar. So
Easy breezy.
well, guys, I need people to fill this in. So
Should we
if
mute?
your
our
name's
guy?
Mike McGarhan or Cameron Crawford, and you
Oh.
put some drums on this.
Or Brendan
Or Brendan.
Maraschino.
Yeah, true.
Oh yeah, true. Brendan too. We
Brendan.
got with 0 drum tracks. Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Is that loud enough? Is that better? I'll also do that for the intro because I'm not about to try and mix everything.
Mm.
I'll get the drums out. This part's a little drawn out. It accelerates though. So this group like takes more time. I'm just gonna fast forward it to when it accelerates. This shit's really fuzzy, so it's like more ambient. I don't know if we'll be able to hear it through the. It's clipping. It's clipping pretty bad right now.
Yo.
Hey.
Stuff, Nick.
Yeah, that's good.
Great stuff.
That's awesome,
Thank
man.
you,
That rips.
This is very impressive.
thank you, thank you.
Dude, like when I first heard it, man, that shift after the cello thing is so sick, man. When that guitar comes in, I was like,
I
Yeah.
I think I might like try and do feedback from the guitar, and then
Oh, nice.
you know, like the Jimi Hendrix like Fox later goes "Near," and shoots off the feedback. I might do something like that, but I think once I get the bass and the drums on it, it'll sound a lot better.
yeah.
Dude, I
And
love that.
good voice too.
I love that bass and drums are like doom 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 doom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Very groovy.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Nick,
you.
what was the process like coming up with that kind of stuff? Because I know you got the like it's pretty contrasting with like the acoustic in the beginning and then the electric. Did that kind of all just come in like separately, and then or did you start from just like ground like from the acoustic and then
I like recorded the acoustic loop, and then that took a while because my acoustic is like kind of cheap, so it's like recording with it is like fucking impossible. So I recorded the acoustic loop, and then I didn't know what to do after it. I just thought of like laying down chords. So I did like it starts out in G major, then I moved it to like G major 7th, and that like bridge that you hear after, and then I created like a little chord progression with that, and just looped it, and then I just added the same chords on the piano and just layered it, and then I just recorded like a little solo in G major over it. Then I wanted it to kind of like build up, and I had this other thing I'd been playing. Here, I'm gonna go get the acoustic and
grab it,
just
man.
for a sec. Just for a sec. Oh, whoa.
This ain't the
Okay.
first time.
No way. My bookend just fell off the desk. That could have been so bad.
Big ol' oof.
This ain't the first time we have a live performance on the cast.
We got piano last. Oh,
Oh, this is ridiculous. All right, I'm not gonna take the time to tune it, but I'll just show you what I was doing. So I was messing around and I just put the guitars out there. I put a C shape and I moved it up to the 3rd fret. So it's still playing all the notes in G major, but with like the open strings. So out of tune. Then think of this as like a I couldn't even tell you the name of this chord, but I was messing around. And then I had that.
That's some John Mayer vibes right there.
Yeah, that's actually kind of what I was thinking with it. And then it kind of sounds like neon a little bit, but so I had that, but I wanted to incorporate down this song, but it was like a way higher tempo. I think it was like 30 beats per minute higher. So that's like the whole like Mike gave it a term. I didn't even know the music accelerado or something.
yeah, like I think they say accelerando or some kind of random like Italian thing. I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah, whatever that is with like tempo change. So I started out at the beginning of tempo that I did like with the intro and like the bridge. And then each time I looped it, I added 7 BPMs till I got to like the tempo that I wanted to end at.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of like this like huge build up thing. So I wanted to like change the tone of the song. So after I changed like from G major 7th, I changed it to a C. I dropped down a whole set with the key of the song. No, not a whole set. It's ridiculous. It's a lot of sets. But because music term, a C is the 4th in G. So I just rotated it like to the left, I guess you could say. And I dropped it down to C and played like that dang kind of in the background. And then I started playing in C minor for the solo. And then I switched it up on the second outro solo to I think it was somewhere between C and F because it changed back and forth because I got a B flat chord. I'm looking up my circle of fifths right now to like.
Oh, nice.
Yo.
Nice.
I had a B flat chord, which isn't in C, but it's close.
Yeah.
So I would change the scale I was playing in from a C to F, depending on where I was in the chord progression and the outro. But I wanted to get like multiple kind of genres and feels with it, like as the song changed. So the beginning it's slow and it's kind of just like an acoustic, like nice little loop. And then when I got to like I changed the key to like the G major 7th, then I started playing like the John Mayer kind of thing you said. Then the Celerado, I guess, it switches up to more of like a classic rock kind of thing with like the tone of the guitar. And then I want to do like a 90s grunge, like fuzzy, like kind of guitar towards the end. That's when I had like this C and F thing. So that was the most like I don't know what the word to describe it, like nitpicky, I guess, deep music theory thing I could have done in a song. So I tried pretty hard to do something really like.
I dig the like the Zeppelin like acoustic intro type thing.
Yeah, that's kind of like I thought of when I was doing the solo. I'm like this. I didn't want to compare myself with Zeppelin because that's the most ridiculous thing anyone can do. But like I was thinking, like at least with like the kind of the shift, like if you look at like "Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You" or dare I say "Stairway," they sound out. They start out with like this acoustic loop that just slowly increases, and that's kind of like the thing I played just now. Like that kind of sounds like the bridge and "Stairway," and how they shift that to like the his like solo, I guess. So I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking of "Over the Hills" starts kind of the same way.
Oh yeah, another perfect example of that. Starts out on the acoustic and then.
Nick, do you know the song "Embryonic Journey" by Jefferson Airplane?
No, only one I know by them is White Rabbit, which is like really. It's like
I challenge you to learn Embryonic Journey on acoustic. It's really cool.
Embryonic Journey.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna
It's
write
pretty
that down.
sick.
All right, noted, dude. I'll learn it. Maybe we can do the next jam.
Oh yeah, or maybe you could perform it on the cast.
Ooh,
swear
yeah,
you-
dude. Get me on the next one. I'll do like a performance. Speaking of that, I'm trying to like start like, I don't know, not necessarily a band, but like a way of like performing virtually, like once you're allowed to like see people again, I guess, like by like via like Instagram Live or any sort of like live streaming thing, like get like a set list of like songs that are recommended by people or just like that you came up with yourself, and then just like play them on live like in that order. So yeah,
That'll be
I'll do
sick.
that. I'll do it on the PCast though.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Is there like delay? Because I know a lot of people collab on Instagram Live, but isn't there like a delay?
Yeah. Me and Abe Peroya tried doing something where we were like playing together. So he would play the chords and I just like improv over it. And it was the most impossible process of finding out how to like get it in time. So
Because
when we
it's probably
first
like
started out,
a whole beat off or half a beat off. by
yeah,
the time-
it's like 2 or 3 seconds in a delay.
Oh,
So
wow.
we couldn't just play at the same time and listen to each other over live. So I had to get my old phone out. This thing. I had to get this out. FaceTime him on that phone. Plug that phone into a speaker. Set that speaker next to the phone I was going live on so that both of our sounds were coming from the same input on live. So live was hearing me playing guitar and Abe on the speaker.
Wow.
And I had to mute him on FaceTime so that he didn't feed back. And it was choppy, dude. It was hard to play.
That's
and
rough.
hard to like listen to everything.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
sick.
yeah.
I went back and I listened to the live stream and it was just like, oh, dude, that does not sound good. 'Cause I couldn't hear him. I didn't know what he was playing.
Hey, you still tried. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Uh,
I feel like one way you could maybe, I don't know how well it would work, but like if you somehow hooked it up so that you have like a metronome or like a backing
Okay,
track
so put
going
a
for
click
you that's
under it,
like
yeah.
playing exactly the same time. I just don't, I know there's like iPhone apps that let you play music like identically, you know, in sync, but I don't know if you can do it like a good, like across a distance. So, but I mean, that's cool. You guys even got to try that and just experiment. That'd be cool to like, you know, do it, like you're saying, do it again, like with like a set list. Like I think people would really like that.
yeah, it was cool to give it a shot because the idea is it's cool like on paper. It's like
Yeah.
kind of like a free concert, but we're not
Mhm.
famous musicians. We're just like people that you just know in the hallway. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely like you guys could probably help with that. It sounds like you know what you're doing with like the whole technical aspect. At least if doing it like remotely, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like in person would be cool since it's like everyone is on the same.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. That'd be way
yeah.
better. Yeah, way easier. Probably way better.
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty good idea.
Yeah, nice.
So, if we want to talk about this film,
Which one?
move roll the credits.
Good thought. All right. Shall we?
Michelle.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
1999. We're talking David Fincher's a movie that I consider very special to me, and I would like to know what you guys think.
I mean, rule number one is rule number one. So
Yeah.
He's gonna
Rule
leave
number
the
two is
chat.
rule number
Leaves the chat. I think I'll start. There's a lot of things to say about it, and I don't want to dive into it really quick, but I'll make it short and simple. There was a reason that I asked Moo to have this as a recommendation because I really want to hear what you guys have to say about it because it's such a different film than many that you see out there. So
nice. Yeah,
Darren, your first watch, right?
Oh yeah, I just watched it literally this morning. So I'd never seen a single like frame of this movie before, other than that like, you know, that poster. Like, so that's really it. So I watched this morning, and again, I don't want to say too much about it. Like, we'll dissect a bunch, but I just want to say I really freaking enjoyed it. And right from the beginning, man, I was hooked. I really dig. I had this whole kind of vibe of the movie the whole time where it's like, it seems like it's kind of breaking the fourth wall in a way, but it's really not. It's like it never like addresses the audience, but it's like just on the edge in a way, like with the freeze frames and the way like the narration picks up with the normal, narrative and stuff. But I really think it was confusing as heck to me in some spots, especially the end and throughout. But I really enjoyed it the whole time. Like I was sucked hardcore into this movie, so I really, really enjoyed it. Also, one thing I thought it was going to be way more about. I thought the movie like would have been opening with the fight, like with a fight. That's all I'm saying. It's like I literally thought it was going to be like all about the Fight Club, what happens with it. But like I feel like it's the Fight Club is almost like the smallest thing. Like that's almost like just the like it just there's so much more around it. So yeah, I was very, very impressed and entertained.
Yeah, and before we jump into it, full spoiler discussions.
Yeah.
I'm sure you all know that by now, but
Yeah.
full spoilers because there's a cool twist in this movie.
Yeah, and I wanted to say something about the twist. Have you guys ever seen anything with a similar twist? Because I had, before I watched this movie, only saw it for the first time last year, but I'd seen a similar twist pulled off, and I'm like, oh, that's so original. And then I'm like, shit, like, no, it's not. So I was wondering if you guys had seen other examples of this.
I've seen, it's not a movie, but it's a piece of literature. It's quite a classic novel. The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. I mean, I'm sure you guys don't mind me spoiling this novel. I don't know if you guys planned on reading it anytime soon, but spoilers for this classic. So basically, it's the same, almost exact same premise. Like I wouldn't be surprised if the people who made like Fight Club like wrote it, based it kind of off this book, or at least a good deal of it, because it's basically like there's a guy, Dr. Jekyll, okay, and he found this way of like drinking some sort of potion and turning himself into Mr. Hyde, and Mr. Hyde represented like the devious parts of our mind, the mischief we want to cause, I guess the mischievous kind of thing, for like the primal urge to just like wreak havoc and just like kick people and punch people and just like steal and do bad things. But Dr. Jekyll himself was like just a normal person who had both sides of like, I can be your angel or your devil, you know what I mean? And but he was able to strip like all the good part out of him and turn himself into this like bad, primal, mischievous person. So in the movie, it's basically like, I forget the names of them, but Brad Pitt.
Tyler Durden.
Yeah, he would be the Mr. Hyde. Like he'd be like the guy who wanted to sell soap made out of like woman's fat, like start a fight club, quit the job, get down to nothing, and live off nothing and all that. And then I forget the name of the other dude. Like the normal guy, right?
The narrator, right? Narrator.
Yeah. Or Jack.
Or Jack, yeah.
Okay. He would be Dr. Jekyll in that case. So the theme of it really is like the duality of man, right? It's like your two sides that have conflicting opinions going against each other. So it's like you're never like one thing at a time. You're both, and it's like which one you want to choose to portray and which one you want to act on, since everyone has two sides and like two conflicting opinions on everything. So that's kind of what I kind of thought of when I watched the movie.
I haven't read the book, but how is it presented? Like, I'm talking more about the execution of the twist itself. Like, I mean, are you led to believe that these are different people and then reveal that it's the same person, or what?
Oh yeah, same way. So it's kind of like there are two characters throughout the whole book, I guess, but they were never seen at the same time in the book. But I guess here, since it's from the narrator's perspective, kind of like he was basically seeing himself as like these two different people. But in the book, it's like they reveal that it's the same person when he goes in front of one of his friends, drinks the potion, and turns into someone else. And they're like, oh, holy shit, what the hell? But I guess it's different in the movie when, I don't know, because you could see them as two separate people in the movie, but in the book.
Yeah. Something that, so I watched this movie for the first time at Moo's crib about a year ago, and after the movie, I think I said this really reminds me of The Sixth Sense, directed by M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, I thought about that.
And I remember Moo was like, "What are you talking about? Like, no way, that doesn't make any sense." But kind of like what Mason was saying, the twist is almost identical, like executed the exact same way. Not to mention, these two movies were released 2 months apart from each other.
Whoa.
Wow.
No, I don't think they're the same twist at all. They're quite
They
different.
literally are.
They're quite different if you ask me. But I'm not trying to spoil The Sixth Sense for anyone in case, but we'll save that discussion because
Have we not all seen it here?
I've not seen it.
Okay.
Oh shoot.
I've seen like half.
You haven't seen Fight Club, Mike. You just watched it today.
Oh no, I know. I was just saying like don't spoil it then.
Oh, then shut up.
I had the Sixth Sense. I had the Sixth Sense spoiled for me before I saw it though, so that was like.
Leave it to Mike to
Don't
wait
worry.
to the last minute before watching the movie.
Well, no, it's
Fresh
fun
is
like that.
fun.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, we were
that's
talking
fine.
about this.
Yeah, me
Mike,
and Mason had a logical,
Yeah,
like reasonable conversation about
Kinda
why
smart.
it's fun to do that. Yeah. We're
But
good.
the I think the direction that the movie was written in was I know it was taken from like a real life scenario that what's the writer's name?
Paula Nick or whatever. And
Yeah. He had like a real life, like I guess, realization, and he was at like a low point in his life, so very much so like the main character, and he was like struggling to find like I guess like happiness. And
Brad was watching with me and he just gave this to me. He's like, read it. He said it's really good.
yeah, I mean, he does say that there's like a lot of details that they had to leave out of the film, obviously, because it's such a dense book, but the movie really captures like how he was living at that time of his life. And he actually was like asked to go to visit like hospice patients in the hospice or whatever before they were about to die. And his job was to like take them and bring them to see like the ocean one last time, and
Wow.
to help them like just relive like life before they die. And when he was at like these hospice centers, and most of the time the hospice patients would just bring them to their like life groups or whatever, and like ask them to bring them there so that they can talk to people that are in similar situations that they're in. And when he was there, people would like always ask him like, hey, like what's wrong with you, and are you in the same boat that I'm in? And he would say no, but then eventually he was just like thankful that he wasn't, and realized that people that are really, I guess, in that situation recognize the people that aren't in the situation more so. It's kind of a hard situation to explain, but you realize that he realizes that there's happiness, I guess, in being, I guess, in low in life. And he realizes that the people that are like suffering in their situation that they're in are in a very unique situation. It's just a really like twisted story that it came from like a real life scenario that the writer had.
Yeah, I was curious when it came to like sitting in on those like group things. Like I'm like, where do you come up with that? Like that's the most like obscure concept.
Yeah.
They were like fighting over which ones to have. I'm like, am I interpreting this right? Like this is so weird. I can't even like who just came up with that in their head. So like that's interesting to see where that came from.
Yeah, well, for one, I find a lot of the stuff in the movie hilarious. It's a great dark comedy. I mean, some of the jokes are just killer. The classic scene, I haven't been fucked like that since grade school. Many of you might have read this already, but initially that line was different. And what happened was they put that in test screenings and they're like, whoa, that's too far, man. And Fincher's like, I'd fuck them, and just put a way worse line with the fuck since grade school just to fuck with the producers. He's like, you can either have this or that, but the laughter from that scene was so high that the producers gave in.
Wow.
That was savage.
Yeah, there's so many good dark comedy moments, like him wearing the glove when he opens the door was so fucking funny. So Nick was talking about the theme of the duality of man, but what I also, from this watch of the movie, I really admire the themes of like clashing themes between consumerism / capitalism and fascism, and how these people that start off being slaves to consumerism, like they're buying all these things that they don't need and they're being defined from what they buy, and how they see Brad Pitt as like this rebellious father figure almost, but then in doing so they transition to a completely different type of slavery in the fascism, where now they have no name and they're just blindly following orders from man. I thought that was such a cool transition that they portray expertly in this movie.
For sure, yeah.
And tonally too, like we're kind of excited by it in the beginning and we see the appeal, and it's like it's disturbing because we're brought along with them, and then we start to realize that maybe it's not as shiny and appealing as it seemed in the beginning, and you're losing the identity and you're losing, you know, substance when you were first trying to get away from, you know, consumerism. So I agree.
Yeah, I remember it was crazy, like especially with the scene with Bob, like getting again spoilers, like, you know, he getting like shot and stuff. But I remember then you got that Tyler character, you know, Brad Pitt saying like, you got to crack some eggs to make an omelet, and I was like, wow, like that's kind of like playing with that transition where it's like they're not like really much human anymore. It's just like kind of, you know, it doesn't matter. It's crazy.
Copy, as Ed Norton says in the beginning.
Wait, what, Moo?
The beginning, Edward Norton's talking about how everything's a copy of a
Oh,
copy.
yeah, copy of copy, yeah. That. Oh, what, Cam?
Sorry, no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the sequences with like with him talking about his like insomnia and like when he's like going through like day by day, like that was some crazy stuff. And even when he was like traveling to go find, when he was trying to go find like Tyler, like that. I mean, the editing on this is like really impressive in my opinion. Like I really, yeah, we can go into that probably a lot more, but anyway, Cam, what?
I was just gonna say, Moo, I'm glad you brought up the whole consumerism point, because before I peeped it, I was watching on HBO, and there was a little description in the bio that I hadn't thought of on my first watch last year about how Brad Pitt leads an anti-capitalist revolt. And like once I saw that, it was super clear and apparent throughout the film, this whole like screw society idea.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Anyways, but then after that, like, yeah, they go too far and it becomes this kind of fascist terrorist group, and yeah, pretty scary stuff to see, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
And let's quickly talk about Brad Pitt, who I think gives his greatest performance to date in this film. Oh my, what a character! I mean,
Yeah.
he sells that so good.
He really does.
That was good.
One of the coolest motherfuckers alive in that movie.
Love Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
The soap. You want to talk about the soap?
Oh yeah. Didn't they apparently? Maybe I'm completely wrong, but didn't they like use actual, like when they were in the dialogue, they were talking about actual stuff that you can use soap to make bombs out of, and I think either it's still in the movie or the producers were like, yo, this is dangerous saying all
Really?
this.
No, I remember that being in the movie.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I think they took like classes for like soap making and stuff before they shot, and so that they understood what the heck they were doing.
Really? That's great. Hold on one second. I'll be right back.
A1.
All right, bye. Wait. Something else was oh yeah, Moo. You think this is Brad Pitt's best performance?
Yes.
Dang.
I would say honorable mention to last year's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is a really refined performance. But I don't know, I think that he completely elevated from Seven, which he also did with Fincher, because like in Seven, though it's near perfect performance, some of the scenes towards the end are a little bit over the top. But like in this one,
What's in the box?
Performance is so in tune and like it's so. Every time he's on screen, it's so entertaining to watch.
Yeah, it is really true. Just the way he like interacts and talks, like, is so. I remember it being so like captivating. It's like, what's he gonna do next? Like, it's just so.
Some of the lines are so funny. He's like, how's that working out for you? Being clever.
Oh yeah, being clever. Yeah, that's good.
And
Great.
Brad Pitt's hilarious.
the confrontation in the car, like that was crazy. Come on, like the
Yeah.
satisfied with your life, like
Dude, with the steering wheel, like that whole thing, man. Oh gosh.
Just all the sound design throughout the entire movie is crazy.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
Did you guys catch the Starbucks cups in like every single shot?
It's probably the best use of product placement in like any movie.
Yeah.
Wait, I didn't even pick up on that.
Yeah, shit.
Oh yeah, look in the background of a bunch of shots. You'll see a Starbucks cup.
Wow.
What's
Did
this?
Fincher? What's that?
Why do they do that? Like, is that like consumerism? I guess I don't know.
Yeah, the consumerism idea, just like putting coffee cups from a name brand company, but also it's probably some product placement. Starbucks probably paid them some money to advertise their coffee, and
Yeah.
use it as a way of emphasizing the theme.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wait. Also, I don't know if my like TV was glitching out or something like that, but at least like towards the beginning of the film, did you guys see a random like figure appearing for like a single frame?
Tyler, right?
Yeah.
Tyler, right? Yeah, I was wondering because nothing would ever come back. Nothing ever really came back to that, and I remember I saw it, and I'd just be like what? I'd be like, okay, like maybe like that'll come back, and then I ended up thinking like, okay, it's probably Tyler, but I was like, it was definitely the kind of thing where I was like, is this me or is that actually happening? So I want to ask you guys about it.
Maybe it's the guy from the Snap at Bradford Heights.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, true. Yeah.
They just splice in frames of Brad Pitt randomly through the movie.
Yeah.
Well, and how about the like pornography frame at the very end?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
it's
Yeah,
like
that was crazy.
super meta. Like Brad Pitt splicing this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He made he cut the movie. Yeah. Or like the one, I forget where it was in the movie, but like when Brad Pitt like goes like up to the camera and then it has like the film shaking thing on it. Like, I was like,
Oh my
like,
god.
whoa! Like it was. I've never seen anything like that.
The VFX are nuts. Like,
The animation.
yeah, like the pan around the room with like the
Yeah.
furniture and like the 3D like tracking stuff. I really liked also there's a YouTuber named Dan Mason. He like recreated like the one like gunshot in the mouth.
Oh, that was crazy.
He like recreated that, and it's really neat. If you look up like behind the scenes of it and how he did it, but I really like that shot.
Oh yeah.
I want to read you guys a letterbox review on this movie I found last night.
I was about to bring Letterboxd review.
It's probably the same one. This one got about 10,000 likes, and the person rated it 5 stars. And they say, first watch, Fight Club is the best movie ever made. Second watch, Fight Club is a deep commentary on the dangers of consumerism. Third watch, Fight Club is a disgusting cesspool of toxic masculinity, and it's not as deep as its fanboys think it is. Fourth watch, Fight Club is a critique of toxic masculinity, and it's deeper than its fanboys think it is. Fifth watch, Fight Club is the best satirical gay rom-com ever made.
What?
That's the one I was gonna bring up too.
It's kind of interesting. Like, I feel like it's like some levels to that are true.
I think so too. Like,
I think most
Gay romantic comedy. I don't get that.
It might be a bit overboard, but like,
but the idea that every watch changes your perspective on it, I think, is
That's cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd have to watch it
yeah.
once more times. I don't think I've ever like purposely watched a movie more than once to get a better grasp on it.
well, you got
I think because you have to invest so much time to doing that. It's different than like listening to a song that just comes on your playlist. Like you don't have a playlist of movies, you just hit shuffle on. But I think I'm gonna do that though with Fight Club. Watch
Maybe
some-
you don't. Moon might.
Yeah, I was gonna say we got that shuffle.
Oh, yeah.
So let me ask you, because I don't have any perspective on this, because the first time I watched the movie, I was in seventh grade, and this is one of the first movies to really get me into watching movies and whatnot. So I'm sitting watching on my parents' TV in their room on IFC, and so it's uncensored, don't worry. But I'm watching it, and the twist blew my fucking melon open so much. But now that I watch it back, I'm like, Fincher was making it so obvious. There's no way wouldn't have seen this if I'm watching it for the first time today. But I want to know for you guys, because I assume a lot of you probably saw it first time when you were older, especially Big Mike there. Did you catch you by surprise?
To me, I mean, I might just be like stupid, like naive, but it caught me by surprise. I personally didn't really see it coming. I don't know why. I guess I feel like I was so invested in the conflict between the two of them that I didn't even think like, oh, it's got to be the same person. Even though like I'm completely like, I'm someone myself. Like we all do battle with like internal conflict and stuff like that. So it's like it definitely didn't come as a surprise. Like afterwards, I was like, okay, I understand how. Like thinking back to the scenes, that definitely could have been. But in the moment, I really didn't see that coming. So it got me.
I'd say it did. The first time I watched it, it did get me, but I was suspicious. There's a certain TV show that I'm not going to name to not spoil anything, but it pulls off the same twist, and I was kind of, taught by that to be looking for signs. So I was like, it's a possibility, but I wasn't completely sold on it until the movie was over.
Yeah, I felt like it got me, but like once it happened, I was like, oh shit, like now I understand like the huge theme, like the big picture of everything, and then like everything started adding up too. Like think about the scene in the car, like the driving scene, like what that was like from a third person perspective.
Yeah.
Where one guy like conflicting with himself, like, do I go into the opposite way of traffic or do I like stay in my own lane? Like,
Yeah.
Crazy.
Also, when you rewatch it, just think about Marla's perspective. I remember.
oh yeah,
I know.
the Marla thing, that was like a big clue. It's like one day you're like you are investing so much time, the next day you pull me off like I don't know you. Like
her reactions are so perfect. Like when Ed Norton's just in the kitchen after she fucks Brad Pitt, and he's like, get the fuck out of here. She's like, what the hell?
yeah.
I know. It's really sad. And he's like, oh, what are you doing here? Like, whenever she enters the room, like, usually the kitchen, he's pissed off and is like, all right, well, you can leave now.
Yeah, like I was wondering why she was so angry with him and everything. Like, it doesn't make sense. But then, like after the twist, it all adds up.
But I also feel like, oh my bad. I was just gonna say, like, as the movie progresses, you kind of get this sense that Brad Pitt is a like bigger than human character, and that is kind of one of the only things that gives away the fact that he might not be real.
Marla, speaking of which, there's a very controversial theory that perhaps she is a figment of his imagination as well, and I wanted to see what you guys believe about this.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, oh yeah, go ahead, Brendan.
Just with like the pacing of the movie and just of how like everything kind of falls into place. Like 1 minute Brad Pitt's jumping into like a sports car and driving off, and then we find out that it's just his imagination, like, and his like intentions that he really wants to do and things that he thinks about doing. It wouldn't surprise me if that was a thing, just because of the crazy crap that happens throughout the whole movie. I didn't really think of that though. That's a good point. Like, she could not be real.
Like, think about how she was introduced too. Like, she starts showing up and sitting in on those, like, I guess, group meetings. Like, the odds of one person doing that alone are, like I said earlier, like, so strange and ridiculous. Like, two people all of a sudden doing it, I don't know. Like, it just means, like, maybe as she started just showing up, like, he had some new growth in his mind that needed, like, some sort of, like, camaraderie or, like, a partner or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seemed like she almost served as the part of him, like that his mind was changing. Maybe that like he's like because it seemed like she was the one who kind of shifted him away like from the whole therapy thing where he was felt like safe. So maybe that was like it's almost like it seems like she could have represented his mind like changing and being like, oh, I need something else, like I need the fighting kind of thing. Or
Yeah.
I could see maybe that where that would be like he's just his imagination. Because like you were saying too, Nick, like it seems so like the odds of two people doing the same exact thing, like
Yeah. And then I mean if you think about it, like at the end, she served as a role of like kind of uniting those two sides of him, like the Brad Pitt side and his own. Because like she was kind of like the key giveaway that they were two different people because
Yeah.
she was like one day you're like having sex with me all the time, the next day you're not. And it's like, okay, then those must be the same people. So she also like changed his mind the way that like she united them and like was like the driving factor in him like realizing like that he's both those people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like she also kind of can maybe represent a self-reflection of himself and everything he kind of dislikes about himself and why he's unhappy because of what you guys are saying. She's doing the exact same thing he's doing and showing up to these meetings, and he's extremely ticked off at her.
I mean,
Yeah.
look at the way she's presented. Also, like all the other people in the movie look like normal people, but look at her makeup and like her
Yeah.
hair and everything.
he's crazy.
It's such like hyperbole. Like you're almost led to believe she's not a person, and she might just be this.
She's almost ghostly, you know? It's
Yeah.
like she's like just like as broken as he is, and he kind of just like wishes her into existence if she isn't real. Because those classes are the only thing that's keeping him like sane and happy, and like that's what's bringing, I guess, that joy back into his life. And he feels maybe that he's alone, and he's like, shoot, I'm alone. What's gonna help me feel better about not being alone? Oh, that's wishing someone else that was here doing the same thing I'm doing, because I'm not the only one that's like crazy.
Yeah, and if to your point, if she does represent like what he's insecure about, right? Think about the end of the movie where they have like the building falling and the pixies are playing, and then he has his like arm around her. That would, I guess, represent like him coming like to terms and like being comfortable with his insecurities, right? And that's also right after he unites himself with his like bad part. So right when he unites himself with his Brad Pitt like insecurity, like mischievous driven thing, then he's like coming to, I guess, like terms with it and saying like it's okay and just watching everything fall apart. I don't know.
Yeah.
So representation, like what she symbolizes and what she represents. That said, I don't think that she's a figment of his imagination, because like I think he sees her as this like reflection of insecurities and like reflection of himself, but I don't think she's a figment of the imagination for a few reasons. For one, like unlike how Brad Pitt and Ed Norton are on screen and how other people interact with them, like there's scenes where Marla and Ed Norton are at the diner and she's taking orders and he's like, wait a minute, make sure it's clean food. And also like people physically grabbing her from the bus and whatnot. I think like that sort of breaks down that theory, but I do think her actual purpose and symbolism is very valid.
Mm. Do you guys know Brad Pitt got paid 7 times more than the co-star guy? What I don't know his name.
Ed Norton.
Yeah.
You got paid 7 times more than Ed Norton?
7 times.
Yeah.
Much deserved.
I mean, yeah, I mean their roles.
Role, but
Like
That's it. Ed Norton is fantastic.
Yeah, I don't. Come on, he's
so good.
and in Birdman too.
Great actor. I had like after watching Fight Club, I'm like, I got to see everything this man's in, like American History X and stuff.
History X, yeah.
Big stuff. You know, I was thinking from a cinematography standpoint, it looks beautiful, obviously, but I really, really wish that Fincher would go back to shooting on film. It has such a cool texture to this movie. You know, it like feels grimy. You're like when they're in the house, you could feel the walls, whereas like now it's a bit too clean in his digital stuff, which I understand why he makes digital. Like he can get 100 takes, which Fincher requires, but man, the grit's gone.
I felt the same way Oh, sorry, Brendan. Go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off. Maybe this helps your point. I know it was that like cinematographer's like first feature film that he's ever like.
Jeff Cronenworth.
Yeah, and maybe he's like, I don't know if this even like if this is the reason why, but maybe he decided to stick to film so that in case like the inexperience he didn't have to worry about like the expensives coming with film, you know.
Yeah. So David Fincher. So Fight Club was made in '99, so everything was being shot on film then. And Fincher transitioned. Was it Jeff Cronenworth or Jordan Cronenworth? Whatever, one of those two.
I can look it up.
So when he made Zodiac, that was the first time in 2007 when digital was starting to become a thing. And Fincher likes digital because he's a big visual effects guy, and he has very good hidden CG through all his movies. And he's like, I can get 100, 200 takes with the digital, and I can put all the visual effects I want.
Yo.
Oh,
His name's Jeff.
cinematographer.
My name's Jeff.
Classic.
But yeah, now he's all digital. Fincher's only digital, which I can understand, and it works for Social Network. We'll save that for another episode.
Yeah. Oh, I was just gonna say, I agree. Like, I remember watching the scenes like in the house, especially in that kitchen. I was like, you can just feel the griminess. That word came to mind, like grimy, and I was like, that's incredible. Like,
Bro, the brown water.
yeah. Oh, you mean when he's like turns on the shower? It was like,
Yeah.
Also, I think it'd be cool to talk about the opening. What did you guys think of like the very opening, like animation kind of stuff? I remember being like, "What the heck is going on?" Once you realize that it's like human insides, I was like, "Okay, this is pretty sick." And then it comes out like I was like, "Okay." But like the gun, like I love that how it pulls back and you see like and it has the sight. I thought that was really neat.
Yeah, that opening credits really took me by surprise because first music is blaring compared to everything else in the sound mix. Like it's like I'm like, oh shit, damn. Fincher always goes crazy with his opening credits. I think his movies have the best opening credits out of any director working today. This, Seven, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, all crazy opening credits. And yeah, it just sets the tone for the film with how grunge it is.
Yeah. What about that animation of, I think it scans his apartment and it pops up the price and description of each chair, sofa, light.
I don't know if I really liked that, but it kind of like made me not surprised when like random things happened in the rest of the movie. It like was just like, oh, okay, so weird things like this can happen now.
Yeah, I low-key feel like some of the animations didn't really fit with like the film itself, you know? Some of it seemed
It broke the fourth wall a lot, and it was kind of just like it didn't follow like a coherent kind of pattern with the way they did it. Like the apartment thing kind of was like, what the fuck? Like,
I love it so much. I love how it just shows how obsessed Ed Norton is with these IKEA ads. So it basically shows his apartment as if it's one big IKEA ad.
Yeah, because I think he talks about, or at least when he was writing the book, how he thinks like objects kind of symbolize like the kind of person you are. So like all of those objects are kind of symbolizing like what he, I guess, longs for and what he wants and what he likes.
Plus, I think it works really well, especially when they touch back on it so much. Even like the conversations between like him and Tyler, how they talk about like all this. When they just talked about like the amounts of furniture and like IKEA stuff, even with like the detective guy, like talking about all that stuff. Like it seems like it was cool then to have gotten that scan with the pricing and all that stuff. And then like especially, I love the use of like the yin yang like table and how like you see that first after the fire or whatever. It's just like chilling outside. I thought that was really cool. How they had that like one little like specific thing that you could recognize. I thought that was really neat.
Mm-hmm.
Like just the direction of the movie in general just seemed like the word genius was just like popping into my head a lot. Like I was like, this is just like genius stuff here. Like it just seems like I can't even imagine it. Like I said, I thought it was going to be straight up about like opening in a club like with a fight going on, and it's like literally completely offset. It has to do with like basically schizophrenia. Like it's it's like insane. So
yeah,
pretty fire. say the least.
Yeah.
The last like 40 minutes or like 20 minutes when the twist is revealed, from then on, I still remember the first time I watched the movie. I never recall being that invested in a movie. Like I was like this close to the fucking screen. I'm like, holy shit! Like, oh my gosh, that's a memory I always remember. It's such a, just like, oh my god, cinema, man. And like when he's like, the gun's in my hand, I'm like, oh fuck, and the music shifts, and I'm like, oh my gosh, so many classic moments.
The ending, the very ending when they're watching the buildings fall outside the window and they have "Where's My Mind" playing, like that's perfect, dude. That kind of like
Oh my gosh, how
left
could I
me
forget?
and just kind of like stapled the movie, like it ingrained it in my head. Like that's like a perfect way to end it.
The freaking Pixies song. Is that what made that song like popular?
I don't know, because it was made in 1989. When was
Oh,
Fight made?
It's
Like
probably,
When was it 90?
99.
Yeah, so I mean, a year after the song was made. We should play that song just
90.
so
oh,
the audience.
Stop.
Let's see. Ready? The perfect way to end it.
So good.
yeah.
That's
Yeah, it had to have been. That was 88, I think it said. So, I mean, maybe that's what made the song pretty big.
I think I left that in my letterbox review. I think I just only talked about that song. Just like, oh my god, it's perfect.
perfect.
Yeah,
Every song, you just think of that shot. I mean, at least I do.
yeah.
It's ingrained in my head.
That's the yeah. Now I'm always gonna think of that movie when I hear the song. Like before, I like knew the song before the movie, and I was just like, I love that song. I loved it before the movie, and I was like, dang, it's really awesome now that I can think of that on top of it. But that's the song that Aiden always plays on.
Always plays on piano.
Yeah.
That's funny. I thought about that too. Aiden. I imagine Aiden like it's like a never mind. But I'm not gonna talk about it. I was gonna say it was like back in
But
the music live. Like Aiden's like on the piano, like oh it's lost on the screen, and he's like playing with it. Anyway.
What were you saying?
Good. Someone said something.
Wait, what? Oh no. Wait, Moo, who are you talking to? Wait.
Speaking, and I want to know what he had to say.
Me? Wait, who?
bro, what if the reason Aiden always plays it is because like his like fantasy is like the end of Fight Club instead of Ed Norton and Marlo, it's like him and Cal looking out.
Can we put that on? No.
My bad.
No, it's okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, real quick before we wrap up the discussion, I want to talk about like how solid the first like 40 minutes of the movie are. That opening scene, first of all, was one of my favorite openings ever. Like that was also one of the first times when I saw like the time being flashbacks used in that sort of way. Keep in mind, 7th grader watching this movie, but I was just so blown away. I'm like, whoa, he's going back and then whoa. But yeah, I love the whole flashback structure of that. The narration is hilarious to me.
Yeah.
The pacing feels seamless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it took me, like, I like to go into movies blind and just obviously you don't read the description until you watch the movie. And I like reading the descriptions after the movie because it helps clarify some things if it's unclear. But going into it, I was like, what the heck is this going to be about? And I've seen like clips on YouTube of like thumbnails and just of like shots in the movie. I'm like, what the heck is going on in? Like, what's this Fight Club about? And I thought it was going to be like a boxing movie. Like the whole thing was just going to be centered around like boxing or something or street fighting. And to have it turn out like that. That's why in the first like 40 minutes or so or hour of the movie, I was just like, yo, what is happening right now? Where is this going? And then it made a lot of sense, obviously, after.
Yeah, I've seen like bits and pieces. I've seen like bits and pieces like of like Fight Club clips, and the one that made me watch it was like the video of the buildings falling down at the end with like the Pixies playing. I'm like, what the hell is Fight Club about? Because I thought like it would be like your point, Brendan, like Rocky or some like boxing movie, but it just wasn't at all. So that's kind of what made me watch it, because I'm like, I have to find out what's going on with this movie.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like in the beginning, I remember asking myself, like, is this the right movie? Like I remember I said that.
Yeah,
And I remember I thought back, I was like, all right, like yeah, I saw Fincher's title just like a minute ago. I saw the Fight Club intro, you know, with the text. I was like, okay, it's good. But I remember there were like just with the beginning, I was like, this is not what I thought it was gonna be at all. Like, is this it? Like,
I didn't think it was the right movie either. I was like, wait, what is happening right now? And yeah,
if anything, turned it off. And it's like, what is this? Is this the right thing? Yeah.
this isn't the right movie. Find some like discount Fight Club, like I don't know.
It's a good lesson though in not judging a book by its cover, you know.
True.
Next.
Judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, for sure. Any more thoughts on this one?
I think we analyze it pretty
All
well.
right. Is it
Hot takes.
time to rate the film? All right, let's.
Oh yeah.
Who wants to give their first rating?
Not me.
All right, then we'll start with McGarrahan. Then.
Oh shoot! All right, darn man.
Pressure's on, Mike.
I'm trying to think of like, it's weird. I'm trying to think of stuff that's like that I don't like about the movie. Like, dude, this is, oh man, like it's like there's so much frick. Cause like I think about how I gave like Heat a 10 out of 10. And I'm like, well, this movie's like, I feel like it's right up there for me with frick, man. Oh gosh.
You're allowed to give multiple tens, you know.
Okay, I know. I just like, you know, yeah, I'm gonna give it a 10. I'm gonna give it a freaking 10 out of 10. I really can't think of, like that's again. I usually base it off of like the rewatch status, if you will, and like I want to see it again, like as soon as I can. So literally, I can't find anything wrong with it. I'm gonna say 10 out of 10. Completely twists my mind. Really freaking good looking and sound edited and just like acting and yeah, blew me out. Yeah, it was just good. Yeah, it was more than good. It was freaking 10. Yeah.
I just
Okay, go
had
ahead.
to. Sorry, Mason. I just had to go into Letterboxd and up my rating because after watching the second watch, I was just blown away, and every detail I was caught attention to, like just the simple use of like a coffee cup in every single shot, and I've after like reading up a lot about the film before I watched it again, I was able to like notice a lot more, and I really like this film, and I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10 as well.
Woohoo! Wow!
Oh, dude, that's crazy.
It's our first double 10 in a while, and we've only hit a third of the people.
Yeah. That's straight math. Quick math.
Thanks, man.
All right, Mason, go ahead.
All right. I'm gonna hold off on the 10, although I would love to give it away, but I've only seen it twice, and I feel like based on what we've seen in the great comments of Letterboxd, you can only go up from a single watch and a double watch and even a triple or quadruple watch. So I'm going to leave a little bit of room, give it a 9-8, but don't want to echo too much, but I find nothing that I do not like about this movie, so
Nice, man.
leave it at that.
It's very precise. All right, I'll go. I think I'm gonna go, dude. I don't know too much about analyzing movies. I'll admit it. Like I'm not like as close, like attention to detail as you guys are with like noticing the Starbucks cup or like sound design and all that. But I mean, from kind of like a naive person's perspective, where you're just kind of watching a movie to enjoy it, I'd probably say like a 9.5 because I don't know if I have like the balls to go 10, like being like with my status, but I mean, there's nothing I didn't like about it. I thought it was really thought provoking. Although like those like psychological kind of things where it makes you think there's a huge twist and everything, and you have to like add everything up. So yeah, no, it really made me think, and it was like really well written, funny too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, 9.5 for me.
Nice, Nick.
All right, so for me, y'all know I love David Fincher. You guys pretty much hit it all right on the nail. But I'm sort of in the same boat as Mason in the sense that the movie came off very differently based on my first watch and my second watch. Like, still great regardless, but definitely like picked up on different stuff, had some different thoughts. So I'll give it a 9 just because I'd like to keep watching and see how I continue to feel.
I think this is either this might be my 9th watch of the film. So my last watch, it was at a 9, but for the entirety of 7th grade, it was my favorite movie in 7th and most of 8th grade. And you know what? Let's immortalize this in 50-50. Let's give it a 10 out of 10. One of my
like
Damn.
Big facts. Wow.
films.
So this is legendary.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's huge, but let's put it this way. The recommendation for next week could potentially beat this.
What?
No way.
What is it, man?
Mason, you're gonna want to like kill McGarrahan and some of these guys because
Have none of them seen it?
I think I know. Oh no.
I'm guessing it's Fantastic Mr. Fox or something like that.
Maybe.
Come on. All right, so this is a movie that I think 2 or 3 days ago had its 5-year anniversary.
Wait.
Which is why I am bringing it up for a podcast episode. This is a movie I already consider a classic. It's Mad Max Fury Road, baby.
Yo!
What? Wait, you guys have...
All right, raise your hands if you've not seen it.
I've been meaning to.
That's what I know it's amazing.
Ooh, yeah, I have not.
All right.
See, don't worry.
Right.
Next week I'll get you something. Yeah,
I do not... I love this movie, so it's not a problem. It's not...
Yeah, all right. Mad Max Fury Road.
All right.
I'll leave it at that. 5 years old now. I remember it as if I watched it in theaters yesterday. But
the drums just they stay with you, dude. The trailer music, holy shit, dude. It's too good.
Thank you, my Tommy brother, for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Nick.
Yeah, anytime. Happy to hop on, dude. This is great.
And thank you for sharing some music. I look forward to hearing it when it's finished.
Yes, sir. Sure.
Sir.
EP coming soon. Probably. Let's get drums.
Ooh, yeah.
For sure.
Very cool, boys. And just like that. Dang.